The S&P back in the late 90s into the 2000s looks a lot like what we're seeing with Bitcoin. I bet we run the lows and then send it, because if this really is a macro trade range, okay, if this is what we're looking at, then that's absolutely, that would make a lot of sense. And lo and behold, we're almost there. Okay, I nailed it. Yay me, whatever. I still don't really understand, again, the context of what is this? Like, I don't, okay, are we just forming a trade or what are we doing? And then tonight, it clicked. So what is this? What am I looking at? Well, if you're not familiar, there's something that's known as the market maker sell model. And this is very common across all markets. This is why you can tell I'm kind of like amped up. It's a little bit of the liquor, a little bit of the coffee, but a lot about this analysis. This is a meme fractal. It's 100%. But there is some truth to it. Okay. So at no point do you want to just say, oh, the chart looks like this, therefore I'm going to trade it. No. But if you can conceptually marry some of, say, the price targets, some of a number of things together and come up with, I don't know, something like this, where we have our range highs. We have our 2 periods of consolidation. We have our most recent consolidation equal to this period of consolidation as well. That sends it all the way below the initial blast off round to our sub 30K price target. I've been talking about that since the first week of December. And only now am I seeing how this all lines up. And that's very exciting to me. I think that's very, very cool. So add yet another analysis, another way to look at things that leads us to the same price target, the same point in time, breaking 30K and consolidating below 30K. What I think these guys are missing though in the macro analysis, like they nailed it, but tying it back to how the context of everything else that's going on, I think that's what's being missed here. It's like, I don't know TraderMate, I don't know any of these guys, right? Like I'm just kind of doing my own thing over here. But the context of running the highs and then sending it back to the lows and what the implication is, like that this could be the bear market low, so to speak. That is something very, very like loud and proud to say, versus like, hey, just this model matches up and maybe we should buy when the model, you understand that's like kind of a different mindset. One is like, hey, this is a 4-year low leading into the next halving. Like this is your lowest opportunity to buy, most likely, before the entire next bull run, like years from now. So that's the importance I'm trying to paint to this. So the context of all this is really, really important. So not just the model itself, forget just like the model on its own, but like the bigger context. That's what I'm trying to like drive home here. All right, so let's go back in time. So what are we looking at? This is a mathematical model that gave us at the start of a year. I need to like preface this properly. At the start of a year, there is a mathematical model that says, here is your first resistance level. Here is your support level, or sorry, here's your pivot level. This is like net neutral. It's like the mathematical, like average price, reasonable price based on the prior year's price action, that kind of stuff. Okay. So, and here is support. So if you were a trader and you sold at resistance, then you would have buy set at either the pivot or at the support one. These are good levels, right? On a yearly basis, pretty good. And then going forward, after the rally, this is leading in 2019. Look where S2 was where the 2020 drop ended up catching. This was like the COVID drop, right? The March 2020 drop. So if we think something crazy is going to happen, I'd say a minimum target is here. And then if you wanted like a crazy black swan extension target, it'd be down here. So what is so that's your S1 and your S2. So those price targets are from current 4% from current price would be like 420 lol. And then all the way to the S2 would be about 23% within reason. You know, COVID did it. Is it reasonable to think we'll have something that bad? I mean, probably not. I don't think it's that reasonable. If we look back at the years prior, the S1 was plenty support. And there was like lots of consolidation at the S1. If we break below it, it seems like that's when things get nasty. So that's how I would play it. Perhaps, because consider these scenarios, right? Bitcoin is not that far away from 25,000, right? We agree. It's only 10,000 away. It's not that significant. So what if Bitcoin hits its 25K low or whatever? At the same time, the S&P hits its support and kind of like plays around with it. And that's it. Like that's it. We're done. It's you can't say it's not. Like you can't rule that out. That's very like completely reasonable. So this is something I'd be watching for. Could 420 be that's it, like the low? Or are we going to get like everything sucks, we're all going to die, you know, down all the way down here? So let's use this pivot information. Let's slap it over on Bitcoin. Let's take a look. Let's look back in time at where some of these bear market lows have found support. So back in, I guess, the early days, it was kind of impossible to tell because you need prior years of data. You really couldn't do that. So let's start with like 2013. A 2013 said this is like January 1st, 2014, the market said, hey, you know what? This level's really good right here. And look where it came back to. I mean, within like $10 of that pivot. That's pretty damn good. All right. And then not only that, the next year it said, hey, you know what? This is a pretty good level right here. So after slapping that level, coming within a few, you know, $10 of it or whatever, look where the sell-off happened. Pivots are really powerful tools. These are one of the first things I learned to look at. And that's why when I couldn't find an edge with other things, I immediately went to pivots. It's a great plan B. It's a great parachute indicator. And you can see how like from year to year, the actual pivot would like held up really well. By the way, the halving was somewhere right in here, 2016. And you see how it played out. Now let's look at 2018 into 2019. You see how this pivot, the S1, which is like the first level of support one. You can see how the price used that support one as essentially the upper level of this rising or ascending triangle, which is like this accumulation. My drawing was trash, right? But you see what I'm saying. You extend that out. It's very interesting. All this is very like, yeah, this is like witchcraft kind of stuff. I love this stuff. So let's bring it forward. So let me back this up to say, like, let's say you sold up in here because your Wyckoff signals fired off and you're like, hey, this is Wyckoff. And by the way, it was 100% true blue Wyckoff, including the up thrust. Remember, we are currently seeing stuff like this, an up thrust that fails with a retest. Up thrust, rising wedge of sorts that breaks out, and fails with a retest along the way before it nukes. And I'm bringing that to current to say, you see how we're literally seeing the same thing with this little up thrust that failed, little retest, and even back in here, little breakup, nuke down with the retest, all that stuff. I love that. Okay, so back to here. If you were a seller up in here, you immediately just set your limit buys at 4,400 and walk away. Like there are people who traded like this, and you and I are sweating over it, and we're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And like those dudes are like buying islands and selling yachts for fun and meeting superstars and celebrities and stuff because they've got it figured out. All you got to do is sell up in here and set your limit buy immediately right there and just walk away. And they get their targets hit. So pretty cool. I love this kind of stuff. Same with the next year. Let's bring it to current. So, oh my God, look what the S1 is. Overlay our channel we've been talking about, and I'm bringing it back to our sell model. Bringing it back. Confluence, baby. Let's go. Look at that confluence right there. That's 25K. I mean, what else can I say? That's so beautiful. That's so pretty. So if the S1 is like a nice historic bear market target, and not to say it can't break it, right? Like, I'm not saying this can't go to 20K and then like come back up, right? That would be essentially what happened in here. But if you're just looking for a nice kind of perfect number, hey, where do we think we're headed? Damn, that's pretty good, dude. Let's look at Ethereum really quick. Our level, that's our target 1 that we've been talking about. Sorry, target 2 on this schematic. But just running the lows is what we've been talking about. Same thing. 1600. So where am I buying again? This is a very common question. I get it all the time. Right here. This is my bear market low. This is where I'm looking, guys. So in this kind of whatever this is. So there will be a day when price breaks down. Okay. And then there will be a window of time. The shortest window of time we've seen historically is about 3 months. Going back into 2018 into 2019, this period is about 3 months of time where you had a little window of like, that was it. If you did not buy in that 3-month window, then you missed the lows, right? And I suspect we'll have something similar. Maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 8 months, like what happened over in here, right? So there's no telling. So these are the kind of what I'm keeping in mind here. When I see price breaks down and everyone's going to be blowing off Bitcoin and like talking about how horrible Bitcoin is, and you know, all the CT guys who have no idea what they're doing are going to start talking about, okay, now we're in a bear market. Now we've double topped and the price target's like 10K. Remember, we've talked about, these are things we've talked about for months ad nauseum. So these are the signs I'm looking for it to be the bottom. So whether that's in March or whether we play this game of like sideways for 6 months and then nuke it, like there's no telling. Timing is not a factor for me. What matters to me is me right clicking, doing set an alert. Yes, set me an alert. And then I'll be over there on the hammock until that happens. Okay. And then we'll see, you know, how it goes. That was a TA-gasm. Exactly. It's exactly what that was.